Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Assembly Budget Committee Sub 4. We have, as everybody knows, on Thursday, an interesting calendar. Appreciate people being flexible. Let's move forward with the roll call, please. Sarah?
Assemblymember Furutani.
Here, I'm sorry.
Assemblymember Arambula. Assemblymember Brownlee. Assemblymember Cook. And Assemblymember Jeffries.
Wait a minute. Did you call Cook? I'm sorry.
Cook.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm here.
We'll get you on that airplane ball. All right. Let's get some decorum here. Here we go.
Going to join your caucus?
Members, we're going to go through. We have no consent calendar, so we're going straight to the vote only. We have issue number 1, Office of Administrative Law, 8910. Issue number 1 is convert funding to fee for service. Recommendation to approve. No, I'm sorry, to reject. Motion, please.
Yeah.
Second.
I got it.
Roll call, please.
Furutani,
Aye.
Arambula, Brownlee, Cook,
Aye.
Jeffries,
I'm sorry, Mr. Jeffries. Okay. Issue number 2, AB 32, workload. The recommendation is to approve this proposal, however, to revise to reflect the OAL's current funding methodology. Motion, please. I'll second. Roll call, please.
No, right?
Furutani,
Aye.
Arambula, Brownlee, Cook,
No.
Jeffries.
Thank you. We'll hold that open. Item number 2100, alcoholic beverage control. Issue number 1, liquor license fee adjustment. Recommendation is to approve. However, we will add trailer bill language to adjust this fee annually by the Consumer Price Index. Motion, please.
Move approval with the trailer bill language.
Thank you. I'll second. Roll call, please.
Furutani,
Aye.
Arambula, Brownlee, Cook,
No.
Jeffries.
Item 7100, we will hold that last item open. Employment Development Department, issue number 1, Employment Training Program Initiative. Recommendation is to reject. Legislature has issued and put forward many concerns about the funding source for this training program. So the recommendation is to reject.
So move.
Thank you. Second. Thank you, Mr. Arambula. Roll call, please, Sarah.
Furutani.
Aye.
Arambula. Brownlee. Cook.
Aye.
Jeffries.
That's out. Thank you. Issue number 2, Economic and Employment Enforcement Coalition. Recommendation is to approve. Second. Roll call.
Furutani.
Aye.
Arambula. Brownlee. Cook.
Aye.
Jeffries.
That's out. Thank you very much. We're going to our next item, which is the Department of Industrial Relations, 7350, issue number 1, Labor Compliance Program Enforcement of the Apprenticeship Law on Public Works Projects. Recommendation is to approve.
Move approval.
I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Furutani.
Yes.
Arambula. Brownlee. Cook.
No.
Jeffries.
We'll hold that open. Members, we go to issue number 2, SB 313, Workers' Compensation Insurance Enforcement. Recommendation is to approve this proposal.
Move approval.
Thank you. I will second. Roll call, please.
Furutani.
Aye.
Arambula. Brownlee. Cook.
Aye.
Jeffries.
That's out. Issue number 3, Division of Occupational Safety Health Fund, DOSH loan repayment. Approve this proposal, please. I'll second. Roll call, please.
Furutani.
Aye.
Arambula. Brownlee. Cook.
No.
Jeffries.
We will hold that open. Members, we're going to go to the discussion items now.
Are you with us?
I have no idea. So I'm just staying off on it.
Item, oh, great. Item 8880, fiscal, the financial information system for California. That sounds pretty ominous.
Death Star was taken already, so.
Who's the leadoff batter here? Yes, sir. Go ahead, please. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Titus Toyama, the project executive for the Fiscal project. I'm here with Janet Roseman, the admin director for the project, as well as my friend and colleague, Adrian Farley from the OCL's office. We heard and had a chance to explain Fiscal at our last hearing. And if you don't mind, I'd like to move to the recommendations that are before the committee. The first is, and I believe these are the issues raised by the Ledge Analyst Office. The first involves having, as part of our fit gap process and choosing vendors, have them provide for, in addition to our full scope solution, an alternative that's actually less expensive. Given the state's fiscal climate, the legislature may want to have a choice as to how much it wants to commit for the project at that time. And we're in agreement with that recommendation, provided that we have the flexibility to develop a lower cost alternative that looks at things besides scope. For example, is there a better way or cheaper way in which to provide for data center services, things like that? We want that flexibility to have other options for coming up with lower cost proposals than just simply reducing scope of the project. And with that understanding, we would agree with that recommendation. The second issue refers to the pause. By way of history, last year when the legislature allowed Fiscal to go forward, it asked that there be, and we agreed to, a 30-day review period before we actually signed the contract to provide a 30-day review period so that the legislative analysts and others can weigh in to make sure that the legislature feels comfortable with our proposal going forward, given that it's a large project and has implications for the state. I understand that the analyst believes that that period should be extended from 30 to 60 days to give the legislature more time to do its due diligence, and we would agree with that. The third issue, I believe, is that we have provided staff with concepts for trailer bill issues. The trailer bill changes would help align the statute with the current project's plan to go forward. For example, the trailer bill statute would have in statute the agreed upon project objectives for Fiscal. Those kinds of changes to align the statute with the current SPR 3 that was approved by the legislature during the fall. And so with those, that is our response to the analyst recommendations, and I'm here to answer any question you might have.
Any other comments from the analyst office?
And again, Todd Blaine from the analyst office. Just to say that I think Fiscal is a project and a procurement that has learned a lot from some of the past mistakes, and we are supportive of the finance letter, the funding for the project, and the approach. And with the modifications Mr. Toyama talked about, we would be fine with that.
Department of Finance, any comments?
Rochelle Grays, Department of Finance, and we have no major concerns with the suggested modifications.
Great, thank you. Is the CIO's office here?
Yes, Adrian Farley. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the state.
Here.
Good to see you again. We think the project is now positioned for success. We worked very closely with the project to bring in outside resources to ensure that it's aligned with best practice. We've worked very closely with the project to ensure that it's being managed in an effective way and to ensure that they have the right staff and approach to the project. So we're very comfortable with the approach that's now being taken.
Appreciate it. Comments? Yes, sir. Mr. Cook.
Well, once again, I'm concerned about time and how long, and are there thresholds if certain things are not met or brought on? You know, some of these projects that go on, you know, obviously we've had a number of them in here. They're 10 years, 8 years, 6 years. I don't have much time left on this earth, so I'm very concerned about, you know, how long they're going to last. So what happens if you are, first of all, my first question, are there time thresholds that they have to be met, and what are the consequences if they're not met?
There are thresholds that are built into the project approval documents that come before the legislature and that will come before the legislature before the project actually enters into a contract with the vendor. So the legislature will have 60 days to review the proposals that come from the vendors. The way the project is constructed is in a series of phases. And so before it goes on and expends additional dollars, similar to a construction project, it must successfully complete each phase. Each phase has independent value, so it's not as though we're building a road to nowhere. Each of the phases adds value to the state when it's completed. Additional value comes with successive phases, of course, but the project will achieve value within a phase.
I'd like to add, Ms. Cook, is that this is an important statewide, enterprise-wide project. And so the project has quite a bit of oversight to what we're doing. We have independent verification, validation. We have a OCIO person on staff to do regular reports. We also have the Bureau of State Audit, who is overseeing our work. And whenever they have issues, they are free to report that to the legislature. But again, we understand the importance of this project, but also the oversight required, and learn lessons that we can meet our project schedules. I am pleased to report, for example, that we got our SPR done on time. We were about almost 2 or 3 weeks early in terms of our RFP. And so with the position, we are working hard to make it successful, and with the oversight that we have, we'll be reporting how the project's going.
And I'd like to point out that if you look at the entire schedule, the project is over 2 months ahead of schedule currently. So although early in the process, it's already 2 months ahead of schedule, and we think that through the process that the project is taking for its procurement, which is a 2-stage process, that it will actually lead to on-time delivery, if not earlier delivery than planned.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Jeffries.
If you could refresh my memory, this is the $1 billion something project?
The project, as originally envisioned, was approved through the legislative process at $1.6 billion. We believe
We've spent $40 million to date.
$40 million to date.
I took issue with this last case, so I'm not going to beat this up, but I mean, it just seems like to
I think
have oversight and spent $40 million would be a contradiction to me. I mean, you have 80-some people working full-time on this project. I have no confidence in the ability that this is going to be delivered in a reasonable fashion, under budget or within budget. There's just a history that IT projects of this scale have massive failure, and I know it doesn't sound like it, but I appreciate that we are trying to upgrade our IT system and that it is outdated. I'm just not sure management by committee of 80-some people or whatever the project scope is going to be effective for the state of California. And I would love for you to prove me wrong. Unfortunately, as Mr. Cook pointed out, none of us will be here by the time this project gets rolling. We'll be termed out. And so new freshmen will be sitting here asking these same questions, but I hope it works out.
There will be actually many members on this committee, I believe, will still hopefully still be involved in the oversight of this project when it reaches the end of phase 1, which will be in 2012. So you will see the successful implementation of the first phase of this project, which is significant. Doing that will be larger than almost any state ERP system anywhere in the U.S. So that's a significant achievement in and of itself. In addition, if you look at this project and you look at the $40 million spent to date and you look at the 80 people that are working on it, investing $40 million on a $1 billion construction project, for example, in planning and ensuring you're going to get it right, it's dollars well spent. So it's equivalent to the engineering and planning work that you do when you build a bridge. You need to make the investments early so that you get it right when you actually start to spend the real dollars.
And I agree in large part with what you're saying. I just don't have the confidence based on historical performance that's going to be the outcome. I truly hope you prove me wrong, but I'm just
We'll work hard to do so.
as project executive, and I share concerns. I mean, my career, my job's on the hook by being successful. And so we have done whatever we could to reduce risk. And more importantly, we have established a lot of lessons learned contacts. We talk all the time with other organizations and entities who have done this, both who successful as well as not successful. And so all the lessons learned we are incorporating into making this project be as successful as we can.
Other comments, members? I think clearly some of the concerns raised we talked about in sub 5 last week, concerns that everybody has at the resource table and at the horseshoe. So we obviously are hoping for the best relative to this project. But I think the point made by the LAO that this project has been able to really learn from previous efforts and mistakes made. I think also with the OCIO's office directly planted in the middle of this, along with all the IT projects that we're talking about now, we're establishing a more comprehensive view. We're not going to keep handing around the same losing baseball managers from team to team, as the analogy goes. I apologize for the bad sports analogy, but I think some people know what I'm talking about. So this is what it is. And Mr. Toyama, his presentation laid out pretty much the staff recommendation: adopt spring fiscal letter, approve the BCP, adopt LAO recommendations, and adopt placeholder trailer bill language to make technical changes to fiscal statutory language. This allows the fiscal fit gap to go forward, but builds its options for the legislature to revisit the project before the final contract is awarded. And then, as you put forward, Mr. Cook, relative to benchmarks, chances for us to review, come back. Everybody's going to be watching this one under a huge microscope. So we wish everybody the best, and the recommendation is just as I stated. Can I get a motion, please? Thank you,
Mr. Chairman, I would move approval of the staff recommendation. I think there are adequate checkpoints and safeguards as this project moves forward, so I would move staff recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Rambula. Second from the left side of the infield. Never mind. I'll just second. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Fertani?
Yes.
Mr. Rambula? Ms. Brownlee?
What item are we on?
We are on the fiscal, the first discussion item, and it's the financial information system for the state of California.
Mr. Cook?
No.
Mr. Jeffries?
No.
That's out of here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time and your support.
Thank you. Members, we're going to item 7100, Employment Development Department. There's a lot of pieces to this, but it should move pretty quickly. Issue number 1, Unemployment Compensation Modernization, Electronic Benefit Payments. Recommendation to us approve this proposal. I don't even know if we need a presentation. Are there questions, members, or do you want a short presentation?
Give me 1 second.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jeffries. Take your time. I don't mean to hurry you. The recommendation is to approve. Can I get a motion to that effect? Thank you. Second, Mr. Rambula, second. Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Furutani?
Yes.
Mr. Rambula? Ms. Brownlee? Mr. Cook?
Aye.
Mr. Jeffries?
That's approved. That's out of here. Issue number 2, Unemployment Compensation Modernization, Identity Management. Recommendation is to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Furutani?
Aye.
Mr. Rambula? Mrs. Brownlee? Mr. Cook?
Aye.
Mr. Jeffries?
Very good. That's out of here. Issue number 3, Unemployment Compensation Modernization, Continued Claim Certification Web. Approve is the proposed recommendation.
So moved.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Brownlee?
Yes.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Furutani?
Aye.
Mr. Rambula? Ms. Brownlee? Mr. Cook,
Aye.
and Mr. Jeffries.
Thank you. Issue number 4, unemployment compensation modernization. E, apply modernization. Recommendation is to approve. Thank you. Second, Ms. Brownlee. Roll call, please.
Mr. Furutani,
Yes.
Mr. Rambula, Ms. Brownlee,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Aye.
and Mr. Jeffries.
Thank you. That's out. Unemployment, this is issue number 5, unemployment compensation modernization, unemployment insurance forms. Approve is the recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Rambula. Thank you, Ms. Brownlee. Roll call, please.
Mr. Furutani,
Aye.
Mr. Rambula,
Aye.
Ms. Brownlee, Mr. Cook,
Aye.
Mr. Jeffries.
Still under the same category, American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, our Labor Market Information Improvement Grant. Recommendation to approve. Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Furutani,
Yes.
Mr. Rambula, Ms. Brownlee, Mr. Cook, Mr. Jeffries.
Thank you. That's out. Issue number 7, Automated Collection Enhancement System, Quarterly Reconciliation Trailer Bill. Recommendation is to approve. Roll call, please.
Mr. Furutani,
Yes.
Mr. Rambula, Ms. Brownlee, Mr. Cook, Mr. Jeffries.
That is out. We now go to issue number 8. UI. What's UI stand for?
Unemployment insurance.
Hello. And SBR.
The supplemental.
Thank you. UI SBR funding. IT and automated integrity related systems. Recommendation to approve. I'll second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Furutani,
Aye.
Mr. Rambula, Ms. Brownlee, Mr. Cook, and Mr. Jeffries.
That is out.
I just wanted the record to reflect the extreme disappointment in the individuals here not being allowed to testify.
I was just going to say they were so persuasive that issue number 9, UI SBR funding, IT and automated. I just did that one. Did I just do that one?
There are 3 issues together.
3 issues together, but they're different. Okay. UI, issue number 9, UI SBR funding, IT and automated integrity related systems. Recommendation is to approve. Roll call.
Mr. Furutani,
Aye.
Mr. Rambula, Ms. Brownlee, Mr. Cook, and Mr. Jeffries.
The third in that series, same title. Recommendation is to approve. Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Furutani,
Aye.
Mr. Rambula, Ms. Brownlee, Mr. Cook, and Mr. Jeffries.
That is out. Thank you very much on that section. Appreciate it. All of this
And
is to
my-
help the EDD do their job better with the
Yeah,
unemployment.
and my no's are because of the new positions being created, not because of the projects itself. I'm just want to make that clear too.
We need these positions to help our unemployed folks. Thank you very much. Department of Industrial Relations, issue number 1, electronic adjudication management systems, maintenance and operation. Recommendation is to approve. It's been moved. I'll second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Furutani,
Aye.
Mr. Rambula, Ms. Brownlee, Mr. Cook, Mr. Jeffries.
Yes, I'm sorry. Issue number 1. Issue number 2, the Public Works compliance changes. Recommendation is to approve. Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Furutani,
Aye.
Mr. Rambula, Ms. Brownlee, Mr. Cook,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Jeffries.
I'm sorry.
100 new positions.
I got you. And issue number 3 members were pulling, so is that it? We're
One second. I didn't.
I'm
Mr.
sorry, sir.
Jeffries?
on issue number
On
2?
issue- Yes.
No, number 2.
So no.
No, got it.
Okay. And then. Oh, and then I need to. We need to go back to the open items.
And we have a few open items,
Oh, okay.
but the Republican members are done, right?
It's just Miss Brownlee.
No, I'm off on a couple. I need to vote on
Okay.
Okay,
I'll go back.
go ahead. Okay, you're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You can show me on item 7350,
0. Yes.
issue 1 as a no,
Okay.
issue 2 as a no, issue 3 is a no. No, this is vote only.
Yes.
Excuse me, these are, that's the confusing part, I apologize. This is Department of Industrial Relations. Those were the ones I missed previously.
It's okay, folks, you're done.
Yeah, all 3 were no for Department of Industrial Relations. The Employment Development Department, issue number 2, I was staying off on that one. And Labor and Workforce Development Agency, I was off on that one.
Okay. Thank you.
And that should be all of them.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
This is how you want to do it? Like Mr. Jeffries did it? So item 8910, issue 1, aye. Issue
Thank you, Kevin. Have a good trip home.
2100, issue 1, aye. I think that's it, right?
And then I need to get you for the Employment Development Department. Issue 1.
Aye.
Issue 2.
Aye.
Issue 3 on for the Labor and Workforce Development Agency and Department of Industrial Relations. Issue 1. Labor Compliance Program Enforcements on page 7.
What's the recommendation?
The recommendation is to approve.
Approve.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's which,
Oh.
which one?
On oh.
It's just my notes, don't, my notes, it's up there, and I'll sign for it.
No, on
Okay.
Mhm.
Item 7350,
Mhm.
issue 1, aye. Issue 2, aye. Issue 3, aye.
Okay. Thank you. That is it.
That's it?
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, Julia. Meeting's adjourned.